Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jack the Jolteon here. Welcome back to another killer tier list that I told you guys I was going to be doing. This is another part 1. But of course, guys, we're going to be going ahead and starting right off. You guys know the drill. So, of course, in the beginning of the S tier, we have ourselves the nurse. The nurse having herself a basic, or actually a much more slower 4.2% movement speed, which is just slower than a survivor. So, with her power, she's able to blink from one side to the other side, able to go through walls, which is why they gave her a much more slower movement speed, being slower than the survivor. But her blinks really do make up for that, since she's able to blink very fast, easily hit a survivor. Completely makes up for it. Her blinks allow her to go extremely far across the map, making her one of the best mobility killers, but her basic movement speed, as I said earlier, being 4.4% movement speed, is kind of lacking, since she does it makes her more. But anyways, that's enough for nurse. Next up, we got ourselves the spirit. Spirit has her power called the phantom phase. She's able to go invisible while walking, giving the survivors a little echo, which allows her to get it easily walk, and sometimes it could even help you get a nice mind game out as well. Her power can be used to completely mind game survivors, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Other than that, her phase allows her to go extremely fast, especially depending on add-ons or durability, allowing you to find survivors. Sometimes they won't even be able to react in time. But so far, not too much more, just a little bit of practice, and you guys too could master nurse. Next up on our list for our first part in the A tier, we got ourselves the Blight. Now, the Blight, this one is a much more controversial killer. People say he should be in a higher tier, people say he should be in a lower tier. Now, the reason why people probably say he should be in the lower tier is because they haven't completely have a good idea of how to use his power. Now, what his power is the Lethal Rush, but I'm sure you guys already knew that. His Lethal Rush allows him to move extremely fast, I believe the same speed as Billy. If I'm mistaken, then please do correct me. But since because of that, he's allowed to run, but with his Lethal Rush, he can only bump into an object first before able to swing, and that's one of the disadvantages he has. Or at least one of the best things to make him fair. His Lethal Rush can help him. His Christ's sake, hold on. I'm trying to find the words here because I'm doing this all in one take. But his mobility, he's one of the best killers for mobility, since because of his Lethal Rush. Sometimes, and it doesn't really take too much time to play Blight. Like even right there, if you get Decisive Strike with his power, you can be right back on the survivor, and just like that, instantly downed no matter what. And his one of the killers that can go around. But without much practice, not much more practice, and Blight could be yours. Next up on our tier list, we got ourselves the Oni. Now, Oni is another one of those killers that people are extremely on the fence about. Oni's power is the Blood Orbs. He's able to, once he has enough Blood Orbs, he's able to use his power, and he's able to get at least around half of his bar every time he hits a healthy survivor. With his power, he's allowed to do something called Demon Dash, or the Demon something else, or the Blood Fury, that's what it's called, allowing him to get an insta down. Sometimes, if you're lucky, if you are able to take a good look at your surroundings, especially if you know a survivor is around, it's best to just slug, since Oni is one of those killers that are really good for mobility as well, and insta downs. But since, yeah, as right here, it's really easy. He's a lot more simpler than Billy, in my opinion, since you can corner around things a lot more easier, but not much more longer, and you guys could easily master Billy yourself. Now, I'm sorry for stuttering a lot, but I'm doing this overnight. It's so early in the morning, but oh well. Next up on our tier list, we have my baby girl, the Huntress. Huntress's power is Hatchets, where she's able to hit survivors across corners like that, or across the map. Sometimes her Hatchets allow you to get chases done that you normally couldn't do. Her hatchets, or even if aimed right, could even get you an easy hit, especially if you're aiming at a survivor on the hook. Her hatchets go over things like that, fences and benches, and even get you an easy hit if they go through a pallet. It's just a lot of aiming that helps with this Huntress, but I suck at aiming apparently. Huntress is another one of those killers that are really good for pressure, since with her long range attack, she's able to slug people a lot more easier and keep them down or keep them injured, a bit like Legion and such. But yeah, she's really good with that. It just takes a bit of time and practice, and with enough aiming and such, you guys could too master Huntress. She's one of those killers that I recommend, since she is, well, that's personally for me, because she's a lot of fun for me to play. It's such a great feeling when you hit a survivor over like a long trial. But yeah, It's not much more. It's not that hard to learn Huntress. But let's go on to the next one. And the next one in our A tier list, we got ourselves Freddy. Freddy is the only killer in the game with 3 different powers. He has Blood Snares, Dream Pallets, and the Dream Projection, which allows him to go from one gen to another. Now, if you get someone in the basement like this, and it's almost impossible to get in there without being awake, and the killer not being notified of a survivor getting in. With Freddy's Dream Projection, it can make some easy plays that allow you to get a simple down or even surprise the hell out of survivors, like right here. But Freddy isn't the hardest killer to learn, just a little bit of gameplay, maybe a game here or there, and you guys too could master Freddy. I'll move on to the next one. Next one in our tier list, we got ourselves Pyramid Head. The Pyramid Head's power being the Rites of Judgment. When survivors walk through his little snail slime move, they get hit with a torment. His other power allows him to instantly down them, not instantly, but allows him to hit him within 8 meters. Now, in this part of the game, I did not put them in Cage of Atonement, which is something you can do once they hit the Atonement state, the Torment state, but I didn't do that. But Pyramid Head is really not that difficult to learn. And first up in our B list, we got ourselves the Hillbilly. Now, the Hillbilly has his power where he's able to rev his chainsaw and immediately go and down someone instantly. If you're in a lucky state, says Billy is able to slug extremely well with his insta-down, you can get more than one. His chainsaw allows him to go extremely fast, making him one of the more better killers to get extremely mobile, from going one side to the other like Nurse and Spirit and such. Or you can crash like I did right there. Now, Billy is one of the more easier killers to learn, so if you want a pretty easy game, I'd suggest learning Billy. Next up on our B tier list, we got ourselves the Deathslinger. The Deathslinger's power being a harpoon gun is able to shoot survivors up to a maximum of 18 meters and get an easy hit. Sometimes if they're going within tight spaces, it's pretty easy to get a hit right there, because the Deathslinger is one of the best killers to get more pressure. And yeah, Deathslinger is really not the hardest thing to learn. The biggest problem people have with Deathslinger is that they don't know when it's best to wait or when it's best to use their gun. But nonetheless, Deathslinger really isn't that hard to learn, and you too guys can master Deathslinger. This is it for part 1, I'll see you guys in part 2. This is Jack the Jolteon. Peace.